All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know that everybody's weeks are a little bit crazy with school orientation finally being over. I know some people, including Miss Annie, are trying to go take off for a runaway vacation. We've all got lots of stuff going on, and the world is a little hard to schedule, but hopefully I am excited that we are going to start doing these every month. So this is our first event that we'll be having each month, which is our education workshop. And what we'll do is we'll kick off the beginning of the month with looking at the big picture of our topics. And what we're going to do today is we're going to be talking about branding with impact. So we have both Annie and Stephanie that are here today. And what I wanted to do first is, there you go, so you can see me. Hey. Sorry, guys. Still learning how to navigate Zoom some days. I wanted to tell you guys real quick about all of the upcoming events because we have a lot. Are you guys all on our email list? Because I sent out another nice long email this morning with all of the dates and all of the information and all of the links to sign up. So if you're not already by chance, you can go right over to vendralleigh.com. In the top right-hand corner, there is a spot where you can sign up for the email list. And that's honestly the best place to make sure that you get all the information. I don't know if you're like me and you only get your Facebook notifications about half the time, or they tend to disappear or just never actually appear. So if you sign up there, that's usually the best place. That's where we'll send you all the direct links to sign up, all of the details and everything. So I just wanted to give you real quick, you can actually head over to vendralleigh.com/events. And you can see every single thing that we've got going on. I'm going to read off a couple dates and events for you. So if you have a pen handy, cool, write them down. If not, like I said, if you head over to vendralleigh.com/events, they will all be over there. The first one that we have coming after this is Thursday, September 10th is our very first book club. It's All Marketers Are Liars by Seth Godin. It's a real short, small read. So if you go ahead and pick it up today, you should have plenty of time to get that one done before book club next week. Actually, a week and a half from now, because today is actually September 1st. Who can believe that we're in September? Not me. You can actually get the links over again at vendralleigh.com/events. There's a link over to the book club page, which also has all of our reads for the rest of 2020. And then we've already picked out almost all of our reads for 2021 as well, and I'll have those up there soon. So if you'd like to look ahead. All right, so like I said, that'll be Thursday, September 10th at noon. We also have community chats. We're going to be doing 2 of them this month. The first one is going to be Tuesday, September 15th at 2 o'clock. And then the second one will be Wednesday, September 30th at 8 p.m. So again, we're trying to give you guys different options for different times of day. And next one after that is, this is what I'm really excited about that we haven't been able to do in a while. We are calling it Better Together. It's authentic networking for female entrepreneurs. That'll be fun. It'll all be done via Zoom. It won't be like your boring old networking meetup, introduce yourself and sit there and listen to everybody. We're gonna do some fun stuff, we'll have breakout rooms. That will be on Wednesday, September 23rd at noon. And then one of my favorite things, but you have to wait until the end of the month, Annie is coming back and teaching a big workshop for us. So she's going to be teaching raving fans and repeat business 6 steps to branding your client experience. And this will be on Tuesday, September 29th at 12:30 to 2. Again, details are on the website. There is a log on to register there. And then we also have a whole bunch of other events. And I just realized, you guys, I could have shared my screen with you. That would have made it a lot easier, wouldn't have? You know, we're learning. Each month, this is going to get better. So thank you for tuning in for our very first one, because each month we're going to have a little bit something new. And I promise you, I will get better every month as this goes along. So I am ready to jump right in. We're going to go over to Annie first. Annie Franceschi of Greatest Story Creative. She has got an amazing presentation that I've already gotten a sneak peek at, and I can't wait for her to show it to you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it over to Annie, and she's going to set us right off. You ready?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Woo, all right.
All right. Good morning, ladies. Thank you so much for joining all of us. I'm so glad we're together, at least virtually today. Um, Thank you for that lovely introduction, Amber. I just wanted to say a quick hello. My name's Annie Franceschi. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a branding partner to coaches and consultants and service business owners. I'm an author and a speaker. And before I did what I do now, I worked at Disney. So I'll be sharing a little bit about that today. But I wanted to teach you guys, sort of in this quick format. We're going to go over 3 common branding mistakes and how to fix them. So I call this Step Up Your Brand Identity. And it's a perfect lead into the great insights around public relations that I know Stephanie is going to take the baton from me and talk about today. So, kind of a quick in and out, but I think a lot of great tips that you can all take away and implement into your businesses. So, as I was saying, I used to work at Disney in my former life. I worked for a mouse. So I used to work in the Seven Dwarfs building, and my role was to create presentations that would tell the stories of upcoming movies like the live action Cinderella or Maleficent. If you've seen any of those, they were my babies years before they came out. And I'd have to build presentations kind of like what you're seeing today. I love what I did, but I wanted to help real people tell their story. So I gave it all up 7 years ago to move back home to North Carolina and start my own branding agency. But I learned a lot about branding when I worked at Disney. And I think a great way to explain that is to look at something like the Disney logo. Now, if you look at this logo, it is just a white background, black text. But if you look at it, or even if you were just listening to what I was saying and I said Disney, you immediately thought of something. I don't know what it was, but maybe you were thinking about the smell of churros on Main Street, USA, and getting ready for the parade to start on your trip to Disney World. Or maybe you're thinking, no, Sabina, and you're starting to hear the Circle of Life play in your head, right? That amazing Disney music. And maybe if you have sort of that entrepreneurial hat on today, you think about the fact that it was all started with a man and a mouse with Walt Disney, right? So that's what branding can do when done well, right? So it brings us to that moment. And obviously, we don't have the multi-million-dollar marketing budgets that Disney has, but we all have brands. And what I want to talk to you today is about your brand and brand identity and how those things are a little bit different. And that's a good thing. So if we think about, your brand, the brand of your business and how you work within it, it's really how people think and feel about your business. How do they think and feel about your business? There is a center of this experience that you get to control, right? So like when I said Disney, I did not get to control what you thought of, right? And even Disney, even on its best day, does not control necessarily what you think about it, right? Sometimes I think they do, but there is a part of your brand identity that you can control. That's the center of sort of this experience. That is things like your logo or your website or the business cards you use, the tagline you have, how you do your messaging. Those are the things you can actually directly affect, right? So just like Disney has a logo and all these pieces that they create a magical experience with, you can do the same thing. And you should be doing the same thing if you want to impact your brand positively. So if you care about how people think and feel about your business, you want to take every opportunity you can to brand for impact. That's what we're talking about today. So, how do we get to this place where we're really intentionally making our brands the best they can be so that people really think and feel what we want them to feel about our businesses? So this is really about asking yourself, what is the current state of your brand identity? Do you have a logo? Do you have colors? Do you have these pieces? If I may have already lost you, I know there's a lot of savvy people, but sometimes branding can get very jargony. So I just want to say to think about it this way. Think about how you've been marketing and branding yourself a lot like the shoes you're wearing. So like your shoes and sort of getting to that next step. So I want to introduce you to a couple pairs of shoes that are in my closet. So these are my Uki New Balance shoes. I bought them about, 8 years ago. They were $25 at the New Balance outlet. I just needed some new sneakers. So they were what I needed to just get out the door. And this for me is like a DIY logo that you created 5 years ago. You had to get going. You had to start your business. You had to make something happen. It's not something you're proud of, but it's something you literally needed to get running out the door. So that's one pair of shoes you might be. Another pair of shoes might be these little beauties from Ann Taylor. I picked them up on a great sale. I thought they were beautiful. I was going through my Sex in the City phase, if you remember that. But you may notice there's a little bit of dust on these guys because I've worn them maybe twice. And if you ever wear heels, you know that like if they're not comfortable, you're not going to wear them very often. And so they were beautiful, but I just didn't like to wear them. They didn't fit me, even though they were great shoes. And to me, this is the professional website that doesn't feel like you. So if you maybe invested with a company, but you're like, oh, this just really doesn't tell my story. And this really doesn't reflect the kind of business that I am and who I work with, right? So it can be professional, but is it putting your best foot forward? That's a question, right? So where I want you guys to be with your businesses and with your branding is a pair of shoes like these. These are some of my favorite shoes. I bought them right around the same time I bought these other two pairs. I bought them for my wedding, actually. So we've been married for 8 years. So I guess I bought them about 9 years ago. At this point, these are the shoes I actually got to meet Angelina Jolie in as an aside when we were doing Maleficent. And she was wearing very similar shoes, but I think they cost a lot more than the ones I was wearing. But they are comfortable, they're beautiful, they go with everything, and they really, really feel like me. And so that for me is the website and the logo and the details that put your best foot forward, so that you feel really confident when you step out and you talk about your business and you present it to other people, you're in the right pair of shoes. That's what I want you guys to have. So I would call this a professional, relatable brand identity, because if you have that, you're going to have more business and you're going to have more ideal clients. And I'd also say you're going to love what you do more. You're going to be more confident about it. So I want you to be able to tap into the 3 C's that come from brand identity. So we're thinking about these shoes that we want to be in. The first C probably won't surprise you, which is confidence. So you know what you're putting out there really is what you deliver on. It is the great solution that you have to people's problems, right? So you know anywhere people are encountering what you do, it's exuding confidence. The other thing is you create value. So everywhere that you are presenting your brand is showing off that you are the valuable expert that you are. So you are adding value to what you do. It's not just, hey, I do this amazing women's empowerment coaching. You're showing it in action. You're showing the value of that. And then the last C is, of course, competitive advantage. So really looking the parts compared to your competitors. So if you have your act together and you are consistent and clear and confident, and your competitors don't have their act together, people are going to see that, right? If they don't, you're going to choose the best restaurant website you go to, right, to pick for dinner tonight. It's the same idea. So those are the 3 C's I want us to keep in mind: confidence, create value, competitive advantage. And I'm going to teach you how to step up your brand identity with these. So how do we fix the 3 most common mistakes that happen with branding? So I wanted you to understand what branding was before we talked about how to fix it, right? So first, let's understand it. Second, let's look at some things that people often do. The first mistake I see a lot is logos that do not connect to your ideal client. So this happens maybe when you created it yourself, or you directed a graphic designer but didn't know what you were directing them to do. Maybe you love a certain color like orange and you're like, put orange in it, but you haven't really thought about whether orange is the right color for the person you really want to serve. And maybe you don't even know who that person is right now. So it's really important that it does connect to your ideal clients. This is an example of a brand that was created by the client in partnership with another branding person, but didn't really know what she was looking for. She was like, I'm all about metallics and all of these things. And she had sort of a salon environment called the Love Lab. But this wasn't clear as to like what she did, because this is Coco Rosenblatt Farrell. She's an amazing women's empowerment coach, but that doesn't come across in this branding at all. You might think she does like relationship coaching, right? Like, I don't know what happens at the Love Lab. Actually, I do know what happens at the Love Lab, and it's amazing. It's such a cool space. Let me show you what the Love Lab actually looks like. So it's this amazing little space with gold walls where Coco does this incredible individual one-to-one coaching and group empowerment coaching for women to sort of help them get to personal transformation that isn't just skin deep. But that logo wasn't telling that story. And that name of just branding it as a space was not working for her either, because it didn't really say what she did. So I took her through my brand story solution, and we renamed her business and gave her a logo that connected to her ideal clients, women that were craving some sort of big personal transformation. So she went from the Love Lab, Temple Space, Experiential Classroom, Community Salon, to She's Ready to Rise, Personal and Group Empowerment Coaching. Like completely different, right? So totally different tone, totally different feel. So what I impart to you there is the solution to that problem is to interview your ideal clients and then fix the logo accordingly. So part of our process was to better understand what Coco's clients were getting out of the experience of working with her. Did they call it a salon? Did they call it a temple space? Like, what was it that was special about it? That's what we baked into the logo we created, was exactly where her clients were and how we met them at their moment. So that's the solution on the first one. The next mistake I see a lot, and this, you may resonate with this, your message is confusing your ideal clients. Okay, so you've thought of a favorite client, you're trying to reach the ideal client, but you are losing them at the very beginning. They don't understand what you do. So great example, this is one of my clients. They came to me, they were called the Gazelle Network. This was their website. We help piano artisans simplify their lives and focus on the things they love. This is very confusing. Most people don't know what they do. I'd ask for your guesses, but I want to make sure we get to Stephanie's content. So we're not going to waste time on this, but none of this made any sense, right? So basically what I did is I took them through the brand story solution to get to the heart of what they were trying to do. So we put together a visual look and wrote their message in a way that would clearly convey what they do. So I know you might be confused. I showed you what their website looked like. I wonder if you'd be confused now if you were to go to their website. So their current website says this: welcome to the all-in-one business management software for piano technicians. Start your free trial. Much clearer, right? Now the piano artisans, they don't call themselves piano artisans. They're piano tuners. They are piano technicians. That's how they see themselves. So we had to change their marketing message to be much clearer. It was less about becoming creative. It was about becoming clear. So we also gave them brand promises that made it really easy for them to tell their story. Things like save your time while your customers play more music, grow with Gazelle. So that's their brand message, not the Gazelle Network. Like, why was it called a network? It's a software. Grow with Gazelle. Get this software, you're going to grow, right? So we went from piano artisans simplify their lives, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. It's so creative that no one understood it, to something really super clear. And now they can sell what they do even in an elevator. They can go to conferences like this and have just the banner up, and people are going to be drawn to their booth because they get that it's going to be about their business growth, right? Grow with Gazelle. So the solution for this option here is to clarify and simplify your story. So if you are having trouble connecting to ideal clients through your messaging, through your social media posts, etc., consider if you're making it too complicated, if you're not being clear enough. So I want you to use TV language, simplify what you're saying. It's not about dumbing it down. It's about meeting people where they are. Okay, so that is the second tip. And the third tip I have for you guys today, a mistake I see a lot, is lacking consistency in your marketing. Okay, so it's really mission critical if you want people to remember you and to refer you, that there's something for me to glob onto visually and verbally. What is the thing that I'm going to remember about you? I can't remember you if you're constantly changing the lyrics to your song. If you're a band and you're constantly, like, if Journey kept changing the lyrics every time, you would never remember Don't Stop Believing, right? We want to see consistency as consumers, right? We want, anytime we meet you, if we're on Zoom networking, if we go to your website, if we get a business card from someone, all of these things, if they're brought together under the same look and feel, we're going to remember you better and we're going to refer you more often. And people think that it's all about creativity, and it's not. I could show you a graph of how I've tripled my practice in 5 years. And it's because of consistency and simplifying my marketing, not making it more complex, but sticking with the same message clearly and not worrying about repeating myself, right? So it's not about creativity. It's about consistency. So the solution here that I would tell you to take away from today is, if you have not already done this, a great trick to add to your consistency is to pick fonts, colors, and define your story and put it into a guide. So make yourself a cheat sheet. A lot of people call this a brand identity guide. I do it with the messaging, so I call it a brand story guide. So something like this, where it's got your color codes, your fonts, your story in it, something you can come back to and even send to people you work with. You know, you're going to have your website redone, you're going to have social media consulting done, send them this too. This is my go-to cheat sheet, and it's going to help you be way more consistent. So those are sort of the three big tips I wanted to share with you today of how you are going to get confidence, create value, and competitive advantage with your awesome brand identity. These are the 3 ways to fix your brand. So we're going to avoid those common mistakes because we're going to make sure our logo works for our ideal clients. If it doesn't, let's redo it. We're going to simplify and clarify the message, and we're going to create a go-to branding guide so we can be much more consistent. So with that, I just want to encourage all of you, no matter where you are, no matter what pair of shoes you're wearing. I think in all honesty, we're all probably barefoot right now under our desks wearing yoga pants. And that's okay. People go, I haven't worn shoes in weeks. That's okay, because the thing is, it's important to be aware of where you are and where you want to go. So wherever you're going to step next, you have some keys now to step it up and step up your brand identity. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. I would like to reiterate our invitation to join me and Amber for a special workshop called Raving Fans and Repeat Business. So if you'd like today, I'm going to go deeper into this idea of what can you do to affect a client's experience. So they come back and they repeat their amazing experience. They come work with you and they tell everybody about you. So I'm going to teach you some ways of how to do that. And we're also going to include a special exercise I've never done in sort of this environment called a brand and marketing gut check. So if you want to get a sense of how well your branding and marketing is doing, you have got to come to this workshop, vendraleigh.com/events. And of course, my contact information is here if you have any follow-up questions. But yeah, that's, is that good, Amber? Did I get in with the amount of time?
Oh,
Okay.
I'm so excited. This is going to be an awesome event. And so today was kind of like a sneak peek into what Annie will also be teaching. But rather than me trying to confine Annie to 15 minutes, she gets to go on for an hour and a half, right?
Right, we'll go deeper. We'll go deeper.
Much deeper. I'm really excited about that worksheet too. So you guys, if you have any questions, now is the time, let me know. I actually have a quick one for you, Annie. Is there any way you can pull back up that screen where you were looking at your brand identity guide? Because the inner graphic designer in me has always seen where you're looking at your color codes and your typography and all those different pieces. But I have never seen it where you include like your keywords. What all was on there again?
Yeah, let me show you a new one. That's actually an older format. So I'm just going to pull up the one I do for clients now.
How many of you guys, do you guys have brand identity guides for your business? You can leave me a comment in the chat, or you can unmute yourself. Audrey says no.
You're going. It's really so helpful. I know people who take it shopping with them. They actually the guy who runs Gazelle, he takes his brand story guide with him shopping for clothes so he can get on brand clothes. So this is what I build for clients, guys. That's like a whole guide it includes their whole message. So like how to say what you do in a sentence. This is what you were talking about. So I do brand words for people, your primary and secondary taglines, your elevator pitch.
That's incredible.
Your about story, your biography. You've got to have things like logo variation. So your logo fits in different spaces, right? Your color codes. So you know what colors to use, and you can be like, please put this in the cherry, right? Like if you have a team, it's so much easier to be like, I want ocean and cherry on this font. So you know how to lay fonts out for your business and the different sizes, different secondary graphics. So you don't have to always slap your logo on everything because that gets really boring. And then I also do marketing materials. So I do things like a branded letterhead, stationery, business cards.
At the Greatest Story Creative experience. I have never
you're good.
So in depth. This is amazing.
Yeah. So stuff like that, and down into like social media branding. So this is just to really show you like how, if you have a tool like that, you can have consistency, right? It makes consistency so much easier if you know what the heck you're trying to do.
Well, the one thing that jumps off at me that seems like immediately of how do you use this in the everyday life. So yesterday in the coaches group, we were talking about different things of what are some of the most important things that you've learned over your business. And I jokingly said the need to outsource, but then I was on a phone call with Christy Johnson, Christy, I see you, yesterday, where we were talking about my resistance to outsource, because I'm like, my voice is, you know, like, how do you replicate that voice? How do you replicate like all of these things that are so quintessentially you? And having something like that to be able to hand over to somebody, wow, like you no longer have to, you know, guess whether or not they get it. You literally are giving them everything. That's really cool. Did you guys have any questions for Annie? You can either unmute yourself or drop them in the chat. Let us know.
Hey, I have a question. I
Yeah.
use the little raise your hand
I love it.
feature.
I see it.
I know sometimes it gets confusing when a lot of people want to talk at once, but Annie, this is the second time I've heard you speak. The first time was at another Vend Raleigh workshop, so I took away a few things that I had heard you say before and a few new things as well. We can take this off of the chat, but or onto the chat or personally off of this workshop, but I just had a quick question. So we've been in business for 25 years and I think, have a really good brand identity. I think people know who we are and what we do, but we've sort of gotten off track a little bit, and I want to bring it back to kind of where my roots are and where we started a long time ago. And we're thinking of doing some rebranding, some big rebranding with name and logo, and I'm just wondering how best to attack that when you've been in business for such a long time and people literally know you by your logo, by your color scheme. Just what your thoughts are on that.
So remind me, Laura, what you do.
We are Forever Bridal Productions.
I couldn't remember.
Local trade shows, but we do much more than that. And that's where we've kind of gotten off track a little and kind of pigeonholed into the shows. So I want to bring it back to where we initially started. And obviously this year has been an upside down year and given us a lot of time to think about it. And I'm just nervous about doing something so big after 25 years.
Well, and so it may not be a complete rebrand in the sense that maybe you're thinking of. I think that that's something, to your point, we can take offline there. You can grab time with me on my website. I'll put it in the chat. So I'll literally put in the direct link. So if anybody needs to, including you, Laura, wants to hop on my calendar for a 20-minute private chat, we will. But for everyone's benefit, I think what I think about is I often rebrand companies that have been around for years and years. And the idea is you want to do that if there's a real big reason to do it. Right? Because you don't want to let go of equity, but there's ways to hold on to it, whether it's like through color, whether it's a similar kind of logo, whether it's a name that helps you reinvent it. For you guys, it may be like you keep Forever Bridal as the name of the show, and then you create a larger company name or something like that. So it's not necessarily about deleting what you've done. It's about really taking it into a new chapter, I would say. And I do complimentary consults for these exact questions, because you don't want to embark in branding just if you're not sure, right? You want to make sure that you're doing the right strategy. And I come alongside people through mentoring as well. So that's sort of private time with me to kind of sort out the strategy details. And that's a la carte, hop on my calendar kind of thing. So happy to talk more about that. But for anybody who's thinking about rebranding at any point, it doesn't necessarily have to be a throw a baby out with the bathwater kind of thing. It's really about elevating your business to the next chapter. Does that make sense?
Yeah, then that's exactly what we're thinking. So
yeah, I hear you. Yep. Yeah, we can totally talk. Feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to talk with you in more detail about it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Laura, I think something like that would be great. So I'm just going to step in real quick and say, Annie, I of course love her, but before I was the leader of Vend Raleigh and I was just like you in the participation little blocks, I went to one of Annie's workshops too, and I was like, this is incredible. And I was like, I don't need a full rebrand. I don't need all this stuff done, but I need to tighten up a lot of things. And I said, I just need somebody else to come in and look at these things and tell me what I need to do in order to make my messaging clear, clean up these things. And we did, do you still do the 3 packs coaching?
Yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was super.
I've accidentally become a business coach. That's what I'm saying to people.
But it was amazing. I loved it.
It's actually a wonderful part of what I do. So I have become sort of a business mentor. I don't call it coaching because I'm not a certified coach, but it is fun because that was a way that Amber and I could partner because of where she was with her branding. And I got an inside look at all the amazing things when she was thinking about buying, we called it Vend Raleigh because I had to guess that she was thinking about buying Vend Raleigh.
It was the code word.
Vend Raleigh. Yeah.
Kim actually has a question in the chat. Says, for those in direct sales, how do you go about branding? Do you brand yourself? Ooh, that's a great question, Kim.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, you do. Is that, one of the people that I showed you very quickly in the presentation was Asha Pai Bohannon, and she does rodent fields, and she's getting into a new field. And so she is branding herself as a person, because there's so many challenges with direct sales, I think. And I think one of them is, a big problem is that it's so saturated, right? So you're in its very nature of growth with teams and stuff, that you're getting other people on your team that also do the same thing you do. So branding is really all about not just differentiating yourself, but what makes you valuable. And the people that I've seen do branding really well in direct sales are people who don't, one, direct message you and ask if you want to be on their team when you haven't spoken to them since high school. Don't do that. But the person I think of, actually two people I think of, are people who just simply share how much the products have changed their lives. They talk about their story, and they own their story and what has been the great transformation in their world and how it helps them. And they never push what they're doing. So that's also having to do with sales strategy as well. But those are the people I think the nicest of, and I am most inclined to reach out to, even though I'm not a big direct sales kind of person with my own shopping. But when I see them talking about the amazing transformations that it's helped them with, I don't feel like I'm being sold to. Right. I feel like that it's actually helped them, and I go, oh, maybe it could help me, because I see the solutions that it's providing. So I think owning your own story, owning your own transformation with whatever product you sell is a great way to set yourself apart and make you valuable to people who might want your products or services.
Yeah, that's a really good point. She is not in here this morning, but Kathleen Burton is also a part of Vend Raleigh. She just started getting active over the summer, and she's on our advisory board, and she does direct sales for essential oils. And if you go check out her feed, it's all personal branding to a T. Like, you see that her oils are in there, but it's not about her actually selling them. It's about her telling you about her life and why she uses them and how she uses them. So if you're looking for a great example for personal branding for direct sales, Kathleen is definitely one. All right, you guys, we can maybe take like one quick question. Anybody else? Either that, or you can always connect with Annie afterwards. She dropped that link in the comments if you want to schedule one of those. Are they 20-minute sessions right on your calendar? Yes.
Yeah, they're 20 minutes.
Perfect. And if not, then don't forget, she's going to be back at the end of the month.
That's right. We'll be back.
Yes. All right. It looks like we're good. So guess what? That means, Stephanie, you are up, ma'am.
Yeah, so let me see if I can share.
Good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning. How is everybody? Y'all have such good questions, and Annie's stuff. I don't know if you can see me in your squares, but I'm like, yep, yes.
We're looking for the, yeah.
We're all like head bobbers. We're like, and then the eyes get big. I'm like watching everybody.
All right, so can you see this branding for impact slide?
Yeah, I can see if you want to go full screen, because
yep, that would help, wouldn't it? Let's see.
While she's doing this, you guys, this is Stephanie Llorente. We are so happy to have you of Prep Communications, and see you got your PR logo and your PR hat on today. But also don't forget, she also has an incredible group for Christian women called Restored. Is it Restored or Restored for Moms?
Yeah, it's.
You did a little branding refresh too.
We need Annie. No, it's Restored, but like all of the social media handles are Restored for Moms, because that used to be the official name. So
the branding has to do with how many usernames you can pull off of social media too. It's a real problem.
It is accurate.
The new studio is the Studio 557 on everything, because there was already a Studio 557 in Australia that was a bar that closed down like 7 years ago, but they still have all of the handles.
Oh, so frustrating. So frustrating when you keep.
All right, Stephanie. So Annie kind of told us what we need to do to clean things up, to tighten things up with our branding, and we're gonna expand on that later on this month. But you're gonna tell us why it's important, because a lot of people get really excited about the visual aspects of things and having a quote pretty brand and having something that's out there in the world.
Yes.
But you're going to really tell us why that's important in the eyes of your client. I'm excited.
Yes. So thank you for having me. And it is kind of terrifying and scary to go after Annie, because she is such a great storyteller and she has all the visual elements. Let me tell you, I do public relations, and so all I do all day is like write things. And so I'm quite text heavy on my slides, but it's going to be fun. So Yes, let me just tell you really quickly about me. That was a really sweet introduction. These are my people. This is my daughter Kate, and my son Carter, and my husband Chris, and this is us at Disney World. Since Annie was talking a little bit about Disney, I figured I'd throw that in there. We went to Disney World in March, like the week before the world shut down, and came back with 0 sicknesses, thank God. So everything was good. We had a great time at Disney World, and these are the people I work hard for. So and like Amber was saying, I went to college around here. I grew up around here. Like, I'm native to North Carolina. And I own Prep Communications, which is a public relations consultancy. Before that, I worked at Butterball and managed their, like, the turkey company. And whenever I say Butterball, people go like the turkey, like the meat. Yeah, yep, that's it. So you've got 2 representatives here of 2 like iconic American brands. Although Disney is much larger than Butterball. So while I was there, I had gone to school for PR and worked for a couple of agencies, but it gave me a wonderful, well-rounded experience of what public relations should be. And so it is, I got a little bit of media relations, a little bit of community engagement, a lot of crisis communication, just a lot of different experiences there. When I had these 2 folks, Carter and Kate, I decided it was time to start my own thing, be a little more flexible, which has worked out. I've been doing that prep for about 5 years now. So like actually August was our 5-year business anniversary, if that's a thing. So what I do is I help clients tell their stories to audiences that matter to them. And so somebody like Annie will help you craft your brand and create that strong brand identity. And then somebody like me comes alongside Annie to help share that out. So that's kind of what I do in a nutshell. But what I thought of a nice transition from what Annie was talking about to what I'm going to talk about is this little slide here, which may give you a little chuckle, but it's really old and I did not create this. I used to know who did, I don't remember now, but, and there's a lot of different variations of it on the internet, but this is showing you how all of these, what I call close cousins, interact with each other. So marketing, you can see is just sharing that message. This guy's saying, I'm a great lover. And then advertising is, I'm a great lover, I'm a great lover, I'm a great lover. You're getting pummeled with that message. It's the same consistent message over and over in different places at different times, most likely. What I do, public relations, is this right here. It's a third party kind of validating that message. So you've got this different girl here telling girl number 1, believe me, he's a great lover. Like I am vouching, right? And then in the next slide, this is branding. Like, this is when branding is at its best. Your consumer understands that message, and they're even repeating it back. They're becoming a brand evangelist for you. Okay, so I thought like I'd give you some real life examples of this. Coke, share Coke. That's been their message forever. They have different iterations of it. They have different commercials, different social media campaigns, but their message at its core is always share Coke. And then you have, my little squares are here in the way. Okay, so then you have the advertising. It's share Coke, share Coke, share Coke. You're getting that in different areas of life that you live all the time. And when you have Coke, like Annie said, you have something that is coming to mind about them. All right, then you have public relations. So this might be if you see something on WRAL or any news station, right? It's not paid. In today's news, Coke donated 50,000 cans to thirsty families. Well, this is not true, right? I'm sure they do lots of donations, but this is something I just made up. But it is a third-party validation of something that they're doing. And then in this 4th block here, branding, this is something you might see on social media, like, hey, my friend and I split an ice cold Coke at last night's party. Thanks, Coke. Like, they're repeating that. They know what Coke wants and expects from them, and they're out there sharing it. So that's kind of a very basic 101 education in communications as a whole. There's a lot of subcategories we could fit into this, but this is just a fun slide. But the thing is, like, why is this important? Why do you as a business owner need to know about these things? And it's because all of these things work together to tell a larger story. They build brand trust, they build loyalty, so that repeat customer, they build credibility so that people trust you more, and they build awareness. So when all of these things are working as they should, this is what you get. You can, and along with many other things, let's just say these are just samples, but you can be positioned as a thought leader, and you can, it takes you from sitting at the little kid Thanksgiving table to moving up to the grown-up table and being like, I know what I'm talking about, and I'm consistent with the things that I do. And last, but definitely not least, it's the reason we're all in business. It increases your revenue. Yep. So let's just say that one out loud. And if I was thinking about Annie's analogy of shoes, if branding is the shoes that you're wearing, I would say that, those other the communications functions, that is the road that you're going down, and you have a destination at the end of that road called a target audience. And we want to get to those mountains in the background. That's our audience. So let's just kind of stick with that for a bit. But none of that matters. Like your beautiful brand that Annie or somebody like Annie would create, and the messages that you develop, none of that matters unless you're getting that message out to the audiences that matter to you. And I put to you in capital letters because if I am selling, I don't know, let's just say I'm selling t-shirts, but no, I'm going to use a real life example. I heard this story one time. This was not my client. I'm going to share this. So there was a little like bed and breakfast, B&B, up in the mountains, like of North Carolina, Asheville. They wanted big news coverage. They got big news coverage. They were in the New York Times. Like this was a big deal story. They were included as a larger or a small piece of a larger story. And everybody's real excited about it. Yay, we're in the New York Times. It increased their revenue like this much. But their local, I forget what it's called, but Asheville like daily newspaper did a thing on them a few months later, and their revenue increased this much because they were hitting their target audience. So a lot of times I have clients come to me, they're like, I want to be in, pick an outlet, USA Today, I want to be in but it does not matter. The I want to be in fill in the blank doesn't matter. It's what does your target audience read and consume, and how do they thank you, Annie. How do they function? Because that matters. That's going to matter to you. So we're going to talk about 3 steps to effective communication. And the first is what I just mentioned, your target audience. I would say of all 3 of these things, like if you're going to pick one to focus on, please focus on this one. Defining your target audience and understanding their motivation. And I'll give you, for example, I do own Prep Communications, but my other business is called Restored, as Amber was saying. And my target audience for Restored is women who work, who have children, who feel overwhelmed. I understand that they listen to a ton of podcasts. I know that they are motivated by family, by money, by success, by a lot of them by faith, or they are faith interested at least. If they're not in church every Sunday, they're at least faith interested. So I can dive into the mind of my, mom of 2.5 kids who's very busy and her attention is diverted in all of these spaces. And how am I going to impact her? How am I going to reach her? So it helps me to just knowing and understanding my target audience and how they are motivated, what motivates them, can help me to shape my message, help me to communicate with them in the right channels. Not that my budget is that large, but if I could buy a TV spot, that might not reach, they're busy making dinner and doing homework and gosh, right now, like all the virtual things. But if I were to buy a spot on a well-listened to Working Mom podcast, like that's probably going to reach them a bit better. So understanding them makes a difference. Meet them where they are and tell them how you're going to solve their problem. I loved it earlier when Annie said you need to meet them where they are. And I was like, yes, because that's what I'm going to say too. And it's all about your message delivery. So when you meet them where they are, you're able to say, hey, I'm in it with you, perhaps, but like I'm here in your space and here's how I can help. Just saying I'm here doesn't really do anything, but you have to solve their problem. And then the last thing is to foster consistent, meaningful relationships. Public relations, like what I do with PR, is entirely about relationship management. It's a lot of writing, but it's writing for a purpose. I'm either writing a news release I can pass off to a reporter that I took to lunch last week because we have a relationship, or I am, writing a blog post that we're forming a relationship with an audience, that's going to read that. So being consistent and creating meaningful relationships matters.
Hey,
I'm
Stephanie.
going to dive in a little bit on target audiences. This is quite text heavy, but
Hey, Stephanie.
Yep.
I hate to interrupt you. I had a quick question that I think is really, really relevant. That goes back to that last slide. Can you go back to that?
Yeah.
Laura was asking a question, and I think this is something that a lot of the people specifically in this group today are facing, is what if your target audience is two different demographics? And where I think Laura is speaking to is that they basically not only have to recruit the couples and the brides and the families and, the parents, the brides, those people to come in, the wedding party people, but then they also are recruiting the vendors to actually appear. I'm guessing, Laura, that's probably what you're talking about with your two. But when those are so very different, how do you work that messaging with still being under one platform of one website, one social media platform, like all those, but you have two completely different audiences?
Yeah, that happens a lot, actually. I'll share that you are not alone in that that space. So when you have different, I would say your core message needs to remain the same. Your core message should relate. Let's just pretend it's Forever Bridal, right? Is that the name of it? So, I don't know what your core messaging is. We're just going to do something silly and say like Forever Bridal is the best, right? Like that's your core message. And then you can tailor that. You can say the same thing in different ways for each audience. And they're the best. Why for brides? Why for vendors? If you just thinking of Restored for right now, we actually have, and I'm glad you asked that. I'm going to move to the slide because it's in here. That second bullet, there are multiple audiences. So you think of your primary audience, your secondary, and your tertiary. And these are audiences that, when I think of my primary audience for Restored, this is an audience that it's the working moms. Like that's who I primarily want to talk to. But secondary to that, gosh, maybe I need to talk to their husbands, right? They're the ones that they're talking about their money. Are they going to agree that they can spend money on the things that Restored is doing? Are they going to agree that the mom can leave the house for 2-3 hours to go to an event that we're doing? And then there's a tertiary audience. Let's just pretend of like churches. Or organizations that are supportive of what we're doing, but don't have the programming. And can they have me come in or Restored come in and do something with or for them? So I can message all around that to say, we support working moms. That's my core message, right? We're a community for working moms. And then I can tailor that to each audience that I have. Does that help answer your question? Okay. So I'm going to push back up to that first bullet there. Who is your audience? So a lot of people, and I will give you a for example on this too. A lot of people say, well, my audience is, I don't know, male golfers, just pick something. And then when it comes to the nitty gritty of working out your brand, and here's my for example, I worked with somebody who wrote a book and we're looking at cover art. And he's like, well, I don't like the way this looks. And I like this one better. And I like, I, great. That's fantastic. I'm so glad you have an opinion. but you are not your audience. You're not going to go buy your book and read it. Who is? Design the cover art for that person. And so I would say, and even for me with public relations, my hourly fee for a corporate client is astronomical. I would not pay that. I can't pay. Restore doesn't have the budget to pay somebody like me. So I am not my audience for my corporate clients. And I have to understand that. And so I have to design my messaging and push my messaging out in avenues that I myself am not consuming. So I would just say, keep that in mind as you're thinking of target audiences. A really good way to understand more about your target audience is through surveys and focus groups and things like that are very traditional ways of doing it. But I have a friend who has a small business. She sells earrings and she has a fantastic social media following. And so instead of gathering a group of 5 moms together in a room in the midst of a global pandemic and asking them questions, she's like, I'm just going to do stories and ask them my questions on Instagram stories and see what feedback I get. She thought her audience was stay-at-home moms who liked her earrings. She did a little, even on social media, research and found out, no, her audience is even split. Working moms, stay-at-home moms, they buy their earrings so that they can look nice on Zoom. It looks like they're ready, right? So so which leads into this perceived versus actual. So in marketing, there's this, and I don't know that it's a concept or a theory. That makes me sound like I'm studious. I am not, but there's a perceived value and there's an actual value. So perceived is like what people think they do. If you survey them and say, hey, I'm going to sell this, I'm thinking about selling this product, or I'm thinking about hosting this event, or I'm thinking about offering this service. Is that something that you, my audience, would be interested in? You will get a different percentage. People, the perceived is like, yeah, that sounds great. I would love that. I would definitely, I'll clear my calendar. That sounds really good. The actual is what is reality. What happens with that? And so for example, with my friend selling earrings, her perceived was these are work stay-at-home moms, because I've heard that they're stay-at-home moms and that's kind of what would make sense. Her actual was they are working moms. Working moms just might not have the time to comment on everything and tell you that they are a working mom, right? So there's some differential there, just things to consider. I won't go through all of this stuff down here, but these are just things for you to think about as you're working with target audience and trying to define that better for yourself. And I would say it's okay in something like this for you to just obsess about that target audience. Who are they? And some people even choose to build out avatars and they say, this is Mary. Mary is a corporate executive and she spends X amount of money each month on blah, blah, blah product, but they build it out. One of the things that is helpful for a lot of folks is to think about what else is in their shopping cart. When I worked at Butterball, there's actual software that does this for you if you can afford it. I can't, but when you go grocery shopping, let's say you put a turkey into your shopping cart for your Thanksgiving meal. What else is in there? Or do you have Pillsbury rolls? Do you have ears of corn? Do you have Libby's canned vegetables? What is in there? Because that, my friends, is going to tell you who your partnerships need to be with. What else are they buying? And that will help open doors. If you can identify what else they are what they are consuming and how they are consuming it, it opens doors for you to have conversations with potential partners, potential people that are going to sell your, if you're a retailer, maybe people who are going to sell your things for you, or direct sales, something like that. So just things to think about there.
Can I add to one thing to that,
Absolutely.
Stephanie, real quick?
Please do.
A lot of my clients struggle with this idea of the ideal, like coming up with your ideal client and like avatar and stuff. And I don't particularly like that framework because it's felt like you're creating someone out of nothing. And I think you've talked a lot about surveying. One tip I always pass on to people is think about whether you've already had some ideal clients.
Yes.
So do you already know some of these people? Because then you can, one, you already work with them, you love working with them, go back and talk to them.
Yes.
Survey them, ask them what's in their cart, like ask them what they love to buy, what they love to wear, etc. And it'll teach you a lot. So just realize that even if you're feeling weird about creating somebody, you might already know them.
Absolutely. I could not agree more with that. Like, and the thing is, when you say, well, maybe I could go back to that person, it might feel a little weird to go back to that person. No, people love to help you do this stuff. They feel as your ideal customer, they feel valued, they feel recognized, they feel like they're helping you to form your business. And that's pretty cool. So yes, Annie, good point. So thinking through message delivery. So, what road are we walking down? Before you can think about message delivery, and this all goes back to your target audience, like I said, you need to understand how they consume information. Do they watch the news? Do they read books? Do they spend every Friday night with the same group of friends? Like how do they consume information? And then you can think about how you deliver your message. So once you are able to determine those things with message delivery, an important thing is that you're able to own your message. And this is something Annie would likely work through with you is what is your differentiator that you can share with people as part of your message? You'll notice, I wrote the word bridge. This is something that we teach in crisis communications training, which I hope that none of you ever need, but you'll notice too that it's used in just regular everyday communications. And somebody I always point to that does a really great job with this is politicians. Just turn on the TV, guys. So if a politician is asked a question about, hey, why is the sky blue? But they want to talk about healthcare, they'll say something like, well, I understand you asked me about the blue sky and it is beautiful today, but what I'm here today to talk about is healthcare. And they pivot back to their point. And so my point in putting this bullet on here is that you need to own your message. You need to create the narrative and you need to stick with it. No matter what question is thrown at you, pivot back to what you want to talk about, be that in a blog post or in a conversation like we're having here, wherever that is. So let me check the time. I don't want to run crazy over. So let's see, all these other things are things we could talk about offline, but message delivery is important. And I think I just hit on the two biggest ones. Talking points are important. I would say if you are delivering a message, if you're, speaking at an event, if you have a booth at a vendor show and you've got a finite time for people to catch their attention, what are the 2 or 3 things you want to tell them? No more than that. 2 or 3 things, like you have to work into the conversation.
Hey, Stephanie, I know that first of all, we waited a couple minutes for everybody to get in and then I talked for a little bit. So I don't want to cut you short. So for anybody that does have to head out early, who's juggling all the things today, completely understand, not a problem. Steph, do you have a couple more or do we have just a little bit left or?
Yeah, it's just a little bit. It's
okay.
It's not.
The other thing we can do is if you ever want to come back later, we can put you on like a community chat where you could dive in and then have like one-on-one with people and work through some.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that too. Yeah, this is almost over. The chapter is almost over.
Well,
the last was just
recording it, so we're gonna get it up and we're gonna get it shared too. So if we have to jump out, we'll have it recorded. So no worries.
Oh, good. So then the last one is just fostering relationships and just, obsessing over that target audience and speaking the same language that they do. If you think about going into a mechanics workshop and he's talking to you about carburetors and fuel lines and things that he's been very well trained to talk about. But what you need is him to eliminate that jargon and talk to you in a language you understand. That is what you have to do with your target audience. Speak their language and stay in front of mind. I think this is really important for right now. It's really hard for small business owners to run their business as they've been doing. And a lot of us have had to shift things around a bit. And I know for Restored, most of our money comes from in-person events and we can't have those right now. But what I can do is stay in the front of their mind so that when we're able to do things a little differently in the future, I'm still there. I'm still being consistent with my message. I'm still being on the front of their mind, and I'm still obsessing about my target audience. So as for what's next, what can you do now? I would say just pick one of these things. If it were me and you don't have a well-defined target audience, that's where I would start. And then kind of move on from there. And that's how to get a hold of me. So That's it in a nutshell. There's I didn't put my social media handles on there, but I'm not, for my PR business. And this is about knowing your target audience, right? My PR business doesn't matter if I'm on social media, because I'm working with more like executive teams or women like you who own businesses. And like, we'll just have conversations about this. For Restored, I'm on social media for that, for sure, because working mamas, they love their social media. So feel free to reach out to me at any point. I'm happy to answer any questions, or to do a consulting session as well, just like Annie was saying too. So yeah, that's all I've got. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but I also know that it's past 11, and if you have to run, I get it.
That was so much good information. My mind is like exploding right now.
It's a lot in a short amount of time.
I know. Well, this is what the idea is coming on the education workshops. Short amount of time, packing a whole bunch of good stuff, then take it off on your own, unpack it, and then if somebody wants to connect with you later, they can. But this is where we are packing in all of the stuff all month long. So today you get some ideas from Annie about how to clean up that brand, get those key mistakes, how to fix them. Stephanie tells you how to get your target audience, why your messaging is important. And then the rest of the month, we're going to dive into the other pieces. We're going to talk about your visual branding. We're going to talk some more about your messaging. We have all these different points. And that's the beautiful part of it, is because don't worry, no matter what part of your brand you need to work on, we got a little something for you. Hey, Stephanie, you want to go ahead and drop your handles in the chat? That would probably be...
Oh yeah, I can do that.
Easiest for everybody. Awesome.
It's just at Restored for Moms on Instagram and Facebook.
And do you guys have any events coming up anytime soon?
We have tomorrow morning, we have a coffee chat scheduled, and we're talking all things education. So whether you are virtual schooling, homeschooling, in-person schooling, we're going to there's, I think, maybe 4 spaces still open. Last time I looked, I haven't looked this morning, but, and it's free. It's a chat like this. That's really informal. That's like, here's what's working for me. Here's what's terrible for me. And like exchanging information with other moms about education.
I think that's great. I'm excited for you guys. You've always have such fun events. I know jokingly, when everything started happening with the pandemic and everything was shutting down, when you guys started doing a couple different chats at night, I think it was the organization one that I had. It was a good one. I literally had it on my laptop in the middle of the kitchen island, and I'm like making dinner because we were eating dinner late. My husband comes home and he's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Shh. Learning how to organize my kitchen drawers." He's like, "Well, you're destroying them, pulling everything out of the kitchen." I'm like, yes, I am.
Yeah, that was our takeaway from the organization of it. You got to take it all out before you put it all back. But we have lots of things like that are just, some of them are very faith related and some of them are very not. It's just whatever my target audience needs. I try and meet them where they are and bring that resource to them. So
I love it. Well, thank you, Stephanie, for sharing today. Oh my goodness, you guys. Okay, an hour has flown by. I don't want to keep y'all, but I just wanted to say thank you again so much for joining us today. And like I said earlier, we have a lot of events that are coming up. So Annie actually dropped it over in the chat for us, vendralley.com/events. And there is the list of everything that we've got going on this month. So today was our education workshop. We've got book club coming up on the 10th. Be sure to check that out and sign up so you can get the link. That, of course, will be via Zoom. Everything is still virtual for us for a while until we are able to meet back in person in larger groups. We've got 2 community chats this month. Then we've got Better Together networking. And then, of course, Annie is coming back, Raving Fans and Repeat Business, 6 steps to branding your client experience. That's going to be awesome. It's an hour-and-a-half workshop. There's a link on there to register as well. If you are a member of the directory, you would have gotten an email this morning as well, sharing with you a code. All directory members always get a discount on all of our workshops, so you can check that out there. Annie's is a paid workshop. Trust me, it is worth every penny. She is doing this for like next to nothing, you guys. So Trust me, this is going to be awesome. But all the rest of the events this month are free, and we're going to be giving you lots of free content over the next couple months while we get ourselves situated and see again what y'all like and how we can adapt to that. So if you ever have any questions, comments, or just want to share anything with us, you can reach me personally at amber@vendrallie.com. And if you aren't already, be sure to get on that email list so you always get the first stuff in. And then also let me know if you're not a part of one of the community groups on Facebook. That's the best place to really connect with us throughout the week. So thank you guys all for coming today. It was great to see some new faces and some of you guys I haven't been able to see in a while. So I appreciate it. Y'all stay safe, and we will see you in a couple weeks for book club. Bye, guys.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.